Hi there, my name is Ryan Warren. I'm the park manager at the Umpqua Management Unit. We manage William Tugman State Park as well as Umpqua Lighthouse State Park in our management unit, as well as a bunch of other day use areas throughout the South Coast district. We kind of range from Winchester Bay down to about Coos Bay. That's kind of our area. Some might wonder how I got into the recreation field. And so it kind of started when I was in high school. I volunteered as a Linn County Sheriff Search and Rescue member. We would go into backcountry areas and look for lost people or retrieve people if they were, fell down and hurt their leg or something like that. And then when I graduated high school and right before college, I worked at Clear Lake Resort, and that's the headwaters of the McKenzie River. And if you haven't been to Clear Lake, it is spectacular. It's crystal clear water. There's trees in the bottom of the lake that have been there for thousands of years, and they're preserved because the water is so cold. But anyways, that was Clear Lake, and for me, that really concreted why I wanted to work in the recreation field. I got to interact with people. I heard some of the best stories I've ever heard from, older folks that were hanging out at the dock and looking over the lake, as well as having an opportunity to problem solve issues, fix things. We were really remote. The electricity was ran off of generators. And so at 10 o'clock, all power was off, lights out type thing. And so it was a really good experience. And so with that, I graduated high school and I went to Oregon State University, and I got a bachelor's of science in forest recreation resource management and a minor in forest management. And then from there, I worked a bunch of seasonal jobs. I worked for the BLM, I worked for the Forest Service, I worked for county parks, I worked for state parks in seasonal park ranger assistant type of positions. I got an opportunity to move all over the state, work a variety of really interesting jobs. I mean, it's pretty cool to get paid to ride motorcycles on trails and maintain trails, which is what I did for the Eugene BLM, or work at Clear Lake Resort, like I did, or work for the Oregon Dunes Recreation Area, which is in Reedsport for the Forest Service, and get to see sand dunes up and down the Oregon coast. So that was cool. And then obviously state parks, worked for a few seasons for them, and then that kind of fueled my passion. I got on a permanent position about 11 years ago. I worked as a Park Ranger 2 for 8 years, and then I got into management, which is a Park Ranger supervisor, for a year and a half. And then I became a park manager for about a year and a half up to my current position. So that's kind of how I got into the recreation field and a little bit of my background. Yeah. So the mission of Oregon State Parks is to provide and protect outstanding natural, scenic, cultural, historic, and recreation sites for the enjoyment and education of present and future generations. We here at this park, we manage over 250 acres, and there's many more not developed. There's 52 overnight campgrounds in the Oregon State Parks system. We manage 352 miles of ocean shore up to the mean high tide mark. So pretty much all the way from Washington down to California. We have what's called beach rangers, and they patrol the beaches to make sure that wildlife's being protected, such as the western snowy plover, which is a protected shorebird, as well as handle situations like whales when they wash up on the beach. Sometimes it's feasible to bury them, sometimes it's not, depending upon the situation. So state parks has a lot of different properties all around the state, and they're so different. Some are lighthouses, some are historic buildings, some are even things like gift shops. Some are overnight campgrounds like we're in today. Some are day use areas, which in the Willamette Valley, there's a lot of those day use types of parks, like Willamette Mission State Park, and things like that. So they're so different. At the core of it, we share that mission statement, but all the parks are so unique and different So part of the way that we provide and protect the natural area is we actively work on transplanting plants. Trees, plants, things like that need regeneration. So what you're looking at here are what we call Deluxe Yurts. Deluxe Yurts, they're available for use, overnight stay. They have showers, restrooms in them, sinks, refrigerators, TVs, DVD players. I wouldn't say it's necessarily roughing it, but they are really cool. So this is the front of the Deluxe Yurt. This is the porch we're looking at. Part of the amenities is electric barbecue, which we have over here. And then if you get a chance, swing around here and look at this view. You can't beat this view. That down there is Lake Marie. That's a lake. There's a trail that goes around the outside of the lake. It's about a half-mile loop. It's a really good place to look for edible mushrooms and berries, as well as you see the occasional bear or deer on there as well. And in the springtime, they stock that pretty heavily with rainbow trout. So it's a really good place to fish, really good place to kayak if you like to kayak. Those are the activities we mostly see down there on Lake Marie. So here we are inside of a Deluxe Yurt. You can see some of the amenities that it has. It has a little kitchen with a microwave, a refrigerator. It has 2 futons and a bunk bed in there, as well as some chairs, a coffee table, your flat screen TV. I think it's a
roughing it. We're roughing it.
27 inches or something like that. And as you go around here to the side, you'll see the restroom. She just has a standard bathroom. You can turn a light on in here.
Yeah, and a shower though. Most yurts don't have showers.
Yeah, these are the only yurts that do have showers. There's not many state parks that have deluxe yurts or cabins.
Yeah, this is the first one I've been in. Beautiful.
We're one of the very few that do.
Okay.
So this we're standing in front of is a new addition for us at Umpqua Lighthouse State Park. And it's pretty exciting to us because the previous bathroom building that stood here was from the 1950s. And part of what we do to promote recreation and to keep clean and safe facilities for folks is to get an opportunity to install a brand new restroom building. This is an example of a rustic cabin that we also have for reservation here at Umpqua Lighthouse State Park. This is the outside of it, and we'll kind of walk over here and take a look on the inside.
It's a cutie patootie little cabin with an amazing view as well.
So that's kind of the inside of the cabin. Kind of similar to a yurt, but it has wooden sides, so the walls are not canvas. They hold the heat a little bit better than a yurt does.
I have to say it is toasty in here right now. Very warm.
Yeah, so they're nice. Same thing, you know, we maintain all these cabins, all the furniture, and we're responsible for cleaning them and making sure they're ready for everybody's use. So right now we're heading out of the overnight campground and we're heading towards our day use area. And we're gonna get on the trail that walks around Lake Marie. So what you're looking at here is a Douglas fir. It's a tree that grows really tall and straight. It's used a lot for commercial purposes. So we're working our way down the Lake Marie trail, and I wanted to point out something that maybe looks normal, but it's actually an invasive species. So this is English ivy, and it's things like this, such as also like Scotch broom, which we have around here, which is an invasive species that came from other states and got introduced to our area, as well as gorse. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with any of those, but they take over areas and they're really invasive. So part of what we do to try and maintain the natural area is we find things like this and we pull it out of the ground, we cut it off. So here we are at Lake Marie. It's a good, nice view. We saw it from up top. This would be a good fishing spot if somebody wanted to fish. With a lot of these waterways and things like that, it's good to have down wood debris in the water. It creates structure for fish and other wildlife such as beavers or river otters. And unfortunately, what comes along with some of these activities is people leave garbage behind. So we just came down here, and this is an example of, I think it looks like a lure, fishing lure was in this at one time. And so this is just an example of when you come out to the forest, make sure if you bring it with you that you pack it back out. So when somebody comes to the area after you, it's clean and ready for their enjoyment. So I just want to talk a little bit about how we maintain these trails. So it's kind of a cooperative effort. We have volunteer hosts. We get 24 of them between the 2 parks that we manage. They help a lot with brushing the trails. Park staff also come down here with tools like hedgers and weed eaters and rakes and blowers. And they resurface the trail. So you can see over here where the edge of the trail is sliding down. That would be an opportunity to bring in some hand tools and reestablish the grade of the trail. Because if we never did that, it would slowly keep filling in the trail and you'd have to walk over big lumps and hills. Over here is an example of a rhododendron. I believe that you had a tour with Mike Bones and he talked about the propagation of rhododendrons and azaleas. Florence has a lot of rhododendrons, and the coastal area does too. You can see them, it's not the right type of year, but this would be where their flower comes from here. That'd be like the bud, if you will. And these are the native variety, so they're kind of a light pink color when they bloom. A lot of the propagated varieties are reds and purples and corrugated patterns and things like that. So when you see these, there'll be a pink flower. It's kind of interesting because they only naturally grow in certain climates and certain areas. And the coastal region, up and down the coast, is one of those areas that they do really well in. So you might also ask if there's any opportunities for you to either volunteer or work for state parks. And we utilize volunteers quite a bit in our overnight campgrounds, and you pretty much have to be 18 years and older to volunteer in that capacity as an overnight volunteer, not somebody that lives at the campground. They're there 24 hours a day to answer questions and things like that. As a general volunteer, if you're under the age of 18, you just need parental permission and to be accompanied by an adult. So some things that I've personally done with volunteers are Eagle Scout projects. We've installed things like life jacket loaner stations. We've installed benches around Eel Lake at Tugman. They've built retaining walls and things like that. There's also an opportunity to volunteer, if you're interested in trail work or picking up litter or any of those sorts of things. There are those opportunities. You just have to reach out to your local state park, and hopefully they have something that would be available for you to do. In Florence, you have a really awesome one called Honeyman. It's Jesse M. Honeyman. It's in your backyard. A lot of good trails. They have a lake similar to this. Get out there and use them. That's what they're there for. It's for your enjoyment. And also, be stewards of the places you visit. So if you're ever out at a state park and you happen to see a park ranger, flag them down and ask them if they have. We have things like this, stickers for you.
Nice.
There's also parks that do junior ranger programs, which allow you to do certain activities in the parks. And there's a booklet that comes along with that, and you can do those activities at different parks up and down the coast. And so I'd like to present Miss McKenzie with a State Parks pin. These are a limited edition pin, and some of the parks currently have them, and they're running out. We're currently giving them out to members of the public. So if you happen to be at one of those parks, you can also see if they have one of these pins for you. And so just a good, fun way to get out, experience the park, and then get a little swag in the process. So I'm gonna hand this off to her, and I thank you guys for coming on the field trip with us. And I encourage you to visit state parks.